Have you ever thought, I should be able to handle this better? Maybe you're the capable one, the responsible one, the mom who reads, researches, prays, plans, shows up, and keeps trying. But parenting an emotionally intense child or consistent challenging behaviors in your own home can wear down even the strongest of moms. I know, because even as a mental health professional and mom of 7, there were moments when I felt completely ill-equipped for the role that I was called to fill. Today, we're talking about why being worn out does not mean you're weak, and why moms need care too. Are you overwhelmed by constant meltdowns, defiance, or challenging behaviors? Are you longing for peace in your home? You're in the right spot. I'm Jami, mom of 7, counselor, parent coach, and wrangler of big emotions. I've learned how to calm the chaos and build connection, even when things feel like they're falling apart. If you're looking to connect with your child, find effective parenting tools that honor your family values, and understand your child's unique wiring, you found it here. So pour that coffee, find a quiet spot if you have one of those in your house, and let's get started. Welcome back to the Calm Connection Parenting Podcast, and today I want to have a tender but honest conversation with the mom who feels like she should be handling things better. Maybe, like I said, you're the capable one, the responsible one. Maybe you've done all the things, the researching, the reading, the praying, the planning, scheduling the appointments, listening to the podcasts, trying the strategies, follow through with school, communicate with the teachers. You keep showing up, and yet behind the scenes, you may still feel completely worn down. Not because you don't love your child, not because you aren't trying, and certainly not because you don't care, but because parenting an emotionally intense, uniquely wired, neurodivergent, or struggling child in your own home is different than understanding it from the outside. Like I said, I know that personally because even as a mental health professional and a mom of 7, this parenting journey felt unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. I had the training, I had the education, I had the degree, I had tools that worked with all of our other children. I'd helped other families, but nothing quite prepared me for living it in my very own home, with my very own child, my own emotions, my own family dynamics, and my own heart on the line. And that realization was humbling. There were moments when I truly felt so ill-equipped. Moments when I wondered why I could help others see things clearly, but maybe why I still felt stuck on some of these hard parts in our own journey. Moments when I realized I was fighting so hard for my child, my family, and some sense of peace, but kind of felt like I was slowly losing myself in the process. Maybe you know that feeling too. Maybe you feel like you're doing all the things, or at least you're trying to, but it still feels heavier than you ever expected. Maybe you are capable, strong, loving, and committed, but also exhausted in a way that's hard to explain to others. If that is you, I want you to hear this today. Feeling worn out does not mean you're weak. Feeling ill-equipped does not mean you're failing. And needing care does not mean you're selfish. It may simply mean that you've been carrying more than most people see or may realize. This episode is the first in a special series leading up to something that is very close to my heart. The Calm Connection Parenting Moms Retreat. That's right, our first retreat called It Is Well, Finding Your Calm in the Chaos. It's happening August 27th through the 31st in Loveland, Colorado. And yes, Loveland does feel just a little bit perfect for a retreat like this, doesn't it? This retreat was created for moms who need space to breathe, rest, connect, be encouraged, and remember that they are whole people too. I'm going to share more about that retreat later, but for now, let's talk about why even strong, capable moms can get worn down when they're parenting emotional intensity every day. Let's start here. Being capable does not mean parenting an emotionally intense child will not stretch you or that it won't feel hard. And I think this is so important because many of the moms listening are very capable women. You're not sitting around doing nothing. You're not ignoring the problem. You're not unwilling to learn. In fact, you're probably the mom who researches late at night, the mom who reads the articles, and, as it proves right now, the mom who listens to the podcasts, the mom who sends the teacher emails, the mom who schedules those appointments, tries the reward chart, the consequence, the breathing exercises, the earlier bedtime, the better snack, the lower screen time, social stories, family meetings, maybe even the deep conversations in the car. You're trying, and yet it may still feel really hard. And when we're capable people, that can be really frustrating because we tend to think if I just learn enough, work hard enough, pray enough, prepare enough, or get the right system in place, then I'm going to be able to figure this all out. But emotional intensity does not always follow a neat little formula. Children are not projects, families are not spreadsheets, and parenting is not something we can always solve by trying harder. Sometimes we're doing so much, but the emotional load is still heavy. Sometimes we know what we want to do, but in the moment, our own emotions get stirred up too. Sometimes we understand the strategy, but we're trying to use it when everyone's tired. The siblings are crying, dinner's burning, someone is yelling, and we've already felt pushed to the edge. So if you've ever thought, I should be able to handle this better, I want you to pause and consider something. Maybe the fact that it is hard does not mean you're doing it wrong. Maybe it means the situation is hard. That sounds so simple, but sometimes we just need permission to say it. This is hard, not hopeless, not impossible, not too much for growth, but hard. And capable moms are allowed to admit when something is hard. The second thing I want you to know is this: living it is different than knowing about it. This was such a big realization for me because, as I've mentioned, I had professional training, I had education, I had the tools that worked with our other children. I'd worked with families in counseling. I understood a lot of things about behavior, emotions, development, and mental health. But living it in your own home strikes differently. It's one thing to talk about emotional regulation while you're sitting in a calm office or even a classroom. It's another thing to try to practice it in your kitchen while your child is melting down and you can feel your own heart racing. It's one thing to hear that behavior is communication, but it's another thing to remember that when the behavior feels hurtful, disruptive, embarrassing, or completely exhausting, that's still communication. It's one thing to understand that your child may be having a hard time and not giving you a hard time. But it's another thing to hold on to that truth when the hard time is happening in front of siblings, grandparents, teachers, coaches, or even strangers in the restaurant. It's one thing to know your child needs support. It's another thing to feel the weight of constantly being the one that needs to provide it, explain it, advocate for it, adjust for it, and repair after it. And that difference matters because sometimes moms shame themselves for struggling with something they technically know, quote unquote, know. They think, I know better. Why can't I do better? But friend, knowing something and living it under pressure are not the same thing. You can know the right words and still freeze. You can understand a good parenting strategy, but still feel overwhelmed when that good strategy isn't right for your child. You can believe in connection and still feel irritated. You can want to respond calmly and still find yourself reacting in ways you don't want to be doing. That doesn't mean you're a hypocrite. It means you're human. And it means that parenting emotional intensity is not just about having the right information. It's about having support, practice, encouragement, repair, and room to grow. Sometimes the encouragement, somebody cheering you on, just being in your corner, that really gets it. So instead of beating yourself up with, I should know this by now, maybe you can try asking yourself, what support would help me live this out more consistently? Or what support would help me be more effective? That question can move you from shame to growth. And that is where change can really begin. This is actually a perfect place for me to pause for just a minute and share something really special with you. Because this right here is exactly why I created the Moms Retreat. It is finding your calm in the chaos. Not because moms need one more thing on the calendar. Not because you need another assignment, another checklist, or another event where you have to show up polished and put together. But because sometimes the mom who's holding everything together just needs a place where she doesn't have to hold everything together for a little while. And if that sounds like a deep breath to you, this retreat may be just what you need. The Moms Retreat, titled It Is Well, Finding Your Calm in the Chaos, is happening August 27th through the 31st. That's right, you arrive on a Thursday night. We have a full Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of programming planned. Some great events, some time to rest, relax, connect. I can't even tell you all the fun things that we have scheduled. And then on Monday morning, you leave. Again, it's being held in Loveland, Colorado. And yes, Loveland feels like the sweetest place for a retreat designed to help moms feel seen, encouraged, and cared for. This retreat is for moms raising emotionally intense, uniquely wired, neurodivergent, or struggling children. Moms who love their families deeply, but feel tired from constantly navigating big emotions, challenging behaviors, school concerns, appointments, decisions, and the daily weight of just holding things together. It's going to be small, personal, warm, and restorative. Like I said, we're going to have time for encouragement, connection, reflection, practical tools, meaningful conversations, rest, laughter, and some really special care-filled moments just for you moms. Your registration includes lodging, meals, and activity costs, so you don't have to figure out all the little details. Early bird pricing and payment plans are available, and there's also a scholarship application for moms who would like to be considered. Now you need to know there's only 10 spots still open, and because this retreat is intentionally small, those spots really do matter. So if your heart is saying, oh, I think I need this, please don't talk yourself out of at least taking a look. You can find the details and apply or register at calmconnectionparent.com/retreat 2026. Again, that's calmconnectionparent.com/retreat 2026. And as I mentioned, early bird pricing is in effect now, as well as the opportunity to apply for scholarships. Friends, this is not about escaping your life. It's about stepping away long enough to breathe. Be encouraged, reconnect with yourself, and come home with a little more calm, clarity, and hope. I would absolutely love to see you there and just get to spend some time with you in this small, relaxed group setting. And really, that brings us right in to the last thing I want to talk about. Because when moms are worn out, they do not need more shame. They need care. I really want you to hear this. There is a difference between being tired and being worn out. Tired may mean you need a nap, a quiet night, or just a little break in your schedule. But worn out goes deeper. Worn out is what happens when you've been carrying pressure for a long time. Worn out is when you keep doing the next thing, but you feel like you might be disappearing just a little in the process. Worn out is when you love your child fiercely, but you also feel like you've lost touch with your own joy. Worn out might be when you're constantly trying to keep everyone else steady, but inside you feel a little shaky yourself. Worn out is when you've been fighting so hard for your child that you may have forgot you were allowed to care for you too. And when moms get to that place, shame often sneaks in, and you may think, I should just be more grateful. Other people have it harder. Or I asked for motherhood, so I shouldn't complain. Or I should just be able to handle this better. Or sometimes even something like a good mom would not need time away, but none of those thoughts bring healing, calm, or restoration to your soul, your heart, and that feeling of being worn out. They just add weight. So what if, instead of shame, you offered yourself care? What if you could say, this has been heavy and I need some support? What if you could admit, I love my family and I also need a chance to breathe and regroup? What if you could recognize I'm not giving up? I'm making space to be strengthened. Because that is the truth. Care is not quitting. Rest is not selfish. And support is not weakness. Stepping away for a little while does not mean you love your family less. Sometimes it means you are choosing to come back with more of yourself available. That is one of the reasons I wanted this retreat to be small and personal, not a big, huge event where you feel lost in a crowd, not a weekend packed with pressure and performance, but instead a space where you can breathe, laugh, reflect, connect, and be reminded that you matter too. Because worn out moms don't need more shame. They need care. They need encouragement. They need support. They need space to remember that they are still in there. So here's your quick win for the week. I want you to finish this sentence. I keep telling myself I should be able to handle fill in the blank. But the truth is, it's been really heavy. Just name it honestly. Maybe it's the meltdowns. Maybe it's bedtime. Maybe it's school advocacy. Maybe it's the sibling conflict. Maybe it's the constant decision making or worrying about your child's future. Maybe it's trying to explain your child to people who just don't understand. Maybe it's feeling like you're always on and never fully able to relax. You don't have to fix it all today. Let's just look at it through the lens of truth, because sometimes getting support and caring for ourselves begins when we stop pretending it's not heavy. Then we take one small step towards self-care. Maybe it's sending a text, asking for help, taking a walk, getting to bed earlier, stepping outside for 5 minutes. Maybe it's just taking a look at the retreat details. Whatever it might be, one small step counts. You're not weak because you need support. You are wise to notice when your heart is asking for care. And I'm going to say that again because it feels so important. You're not weak because you need support. You are wise to notice when your heart is asking for care. As we wrap up today, I want you to remember this. Being capable does not mean that this parenting journey won't feel hard. Living it in your own home is different than understanding it from the outside. And when you're worn out, you don't need more shame. You need care, support, encouragement, and space to breathe and let down a little. You're not failing because parenting your emotionally intense or uniquely wired child feels heavy. You may simply be carrying more than most people see. And maybe this week, the bravest thing you can do is just to stop pretending that it's hard and take one small step toward the self-care that you need. And if that step is learning more about the Mom's Retreat, I welcome that. I would love for you to visit calmconnectionparent.com/retreat 2026. Remember, there are only 10 spots still open, and I really do not want the mom who needs this to miss it because she waited too long. Until next time, keep learning, keep loving, and keep looking for your calm in the chaos. You're not alone in this journey, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way. I hope today's episode gave you a breath of fresh air, maybe a bit of hope too. If this encouraged you, would you please take a moment to follow and leave a quick review? It helps this much-needed message of calm and connection reach more families. And if you're looking for additional resources, be sure to visit calmconnectionparenting.org and check out the podcast tab. There you'll find a variety of free resources waiting just for you. Until next week's episode, take a deep breath, grab that fresh cup of coffee, and remember, you've got this. And on the days you don't, well, we're in it together.